Some good news on the COVID-19 infection rate within our health unit. Fairvern gets a big thank you from the community. And we speak with the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. All that and more coming up right now. Welcome to Cogeco News for April 28th. I'm James Bowler with what's happening in your community. Staff and residents at Fairvern were given a salute from the community today in recognition of National Superhero Day, with police and community residents driving by, wailing sirens, honking horns, and waving to the staff at the long-term care home from their cars. Residents of the care home were also brought up to the windows to get a first-hand look at the show. This is one of many community-led programs thanking first responders and healthcare workers for their tireless efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, more good news, as the Simcoe-Muskoka District Health Unit has only reported 2 new confirmed cases within the health unit coverage area, with none in Muskoka, one of the lowest infection rate confirmation reports in the last month. This comes as both provincial and federal officials have claimed to see a positive trend in infection rates, suggesting we have started to plateau overall and may start to see a downward trend in the near future. Although all officials are warning we should still be cautious and continue to practice physical distancing as to not have all of this progress quickly fall apart. Joining me once again is Mayor Graydon Smith from Bracebridge and from his home office. Thanks very much, Graydon, for taking the time once again.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Graydon, some new interesting updates, both provincially and federally. First of all, it looks like we may be seeing more of a plateauing effect here, which is giving more credence to the fact that what we're doing is the right thing. But more interestingly, is the provincial government is now looking at steps to open the economy once again. Now, just to verify, there is no date on this yet, but I'm just curious as to your thoughts on this step-by-step process they've released so far.
Well, I think everybody's looking for a good sign, and let's take this as a good sign. It may lack the details and specificity that many people, especially business owners, were hoping for. But at the same time, a week, 2 weeks ago, we weren't anyone in a position to think about what the next steps might be. So that things are plateauing and looking, a little bit better, although there was a bit of a spike today, is generally good news. And I'm, hesitant to use the term good news when there's been so much bad news and tragedy in this. So I mean it very specifically in terms of trying to get back to what our previous lives were like. But that's going to be clearly a very long, slow process. That's only going to happen if, we're reaching certain milestones to allow the next phase to occur.
So let's talk about that specifically. And I just had this conversation yesterday with Brenda Rhodes of the Chamber of Commerce about Canada Day specifically, and also spoke with one of the local doctors, Dr. Charles Gardner, about the fact that we're probably not going to be seeing any Canada Day celebrations. And just again, looking for your perspective on this, should residents obviously be prepared to kind of have this summer wiped out mostly?
Well, I suppose it depends on how you define wiped out, but I think from the perspective of tourism style events and large scale events in communities, it's probably very unlikely that any of them will take place. One of the things that was specified yesterday was that even in phase 3, that wasn't going to allow for large gatherings, such as concerts or something like that. Well, when you look at our fireworks, that is thousands upon thousands of people in our downtown core. And I just don't see a future with that happening, as sad as that is, because it's certainly a mainstay in our communities, and Canada Day is in every community. Going forward from there, I've spoken with some of the operators of some of the annual festivals and events, and I don't think they're believing that 2020 is going to be a year when they can get much off the ground. So maybe there's ways for everybody to modify what they're doing a little bit and still make something, quote unquote, virtual. But from a large scale gathering perspective, it seems like we're quite a ways away from that.
And on that note, too, I'm just wondering, are these conversations happening yet behind the scenes or at council in terms of the rec programs moving into the summer? I know this is about the time that people start planning for these programs, they start signing up for them. Are we going to see another push off of these rec programs throughout the summer as well? I'm speaking, specifically about summer camps, things like that.
Well, the business of our council continues virtually. We're still meeting every 3 weeks, and we've scaled it back to somewhat essential business only. But those questions and other operational matters are something that I'm sure we'll be hearing from staff on soon if there are decisions to be made. Um, it's going to be a very difficult summer, I think, for everybody to both understand what is available to them and what their obligations are from a personal responsibility standpoint, because some people may be going back to work and able to go back to work. And if that's the case, many of them are going to need childcare or, those summer camps that typically happen. So I think we're still feeling our way along a little bit in that regard. But, unless there's a significant shift in provincial thinking, I think there's a lot of things in jeopardy, including that.
Great. And the last thing I want to ask you about is the sort of tension that has obviously built between full-time residents and seasonal residents. And recently just saw a posting of a sign in Bala saying full-time residents only allowed, which is clearly not, something that can be enforced. But, I know you were advocating for people to stay home and there was some advocacy on other officials to not come north. But are you still hearing a bit of blowback from these seasonal residents or even from full-time people about this sort of divide?
Yes, the short answer is yes. Not as frequently as I was, because I think the message has been broadcast, fairly wide and quite clearly by medical officers of health, both locally, provincially, nationally. So, as I've said before, you don't need to take my word for it anymore. Just look to the officials in this situation that are providing guidance. That said, there's still hurt feelings and people that believe they want to be here for their own personal safety. And despite the fact that it's a recommendation, there are still people that have chosen to stay at home and some people that have chosen to come here. Because it's a recommendation, I think we have to understand that nobody is breaking a law or doing anything that is explicitly wrong as laid out by the province as part of their order. And because of that, I think those signs are unfair to people that are here. That said, we've all got a responsibility to be doing what we've been asked to do, and the best advice is to not travel. So, to anyone that is a seasonal resident watching, my message is still, please stay in your principal residence, because that's what we've been asked to do. But if people are here, our brand is built on respect and kindness and, being great people. And we've got to continue to be that, regardless if, we're scared and uncomfortable. We still need to be our best selves.
All right. Graydon Smith, thank you very much for taking the time once again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, and joining me now on the phone is Carolyn Zacharuk with the Fairburn Nursing Home, the Executive Director. Carolyn, thank you very much for taking the time today.
Thank you for asking me to talk with you.
So we just wanted to check in with you and see, how are things going, first of all, with Fairburn Nursing Home?
Things at Fairburn are going really well. We started preparing in February with town hall meetings, education of staff, ordering supplies, really getting ready for this so that we weren't taken by surprise. And you may have noticed that all of the staff at Fairburn now wears Navy scrubs. In situations like this, the staff wear their civilian clothes to work, put on scrubs here. The scrubs then go into a special container where they are then taken out for laundry, and they wear civilian clothes home. So we're limiting the chance for an infection to come into the building, and we're also limiting the chance for anything that is in the building to be taken home to family members.
So tell me about the PPE situation. I know the province recently started spreading this equipment out to the long-term care homes.
We actually have received some PPE through the provincial distribution center. We also had started early to look at what our supply was and what we needed to have in place. And so we planned for a month's supply in place, including paper goods, paper plates, things like that, anticipating supply chain possibly being disrupted.
What's the general feeling at Fairburn right now? How are staff feeling?
I think staff are feeling very happy. They're very committed to the residents and to each other, and it's really a team approach. It's all hands on deck, and they're very appreciative of the fact that we've actively recruited additional staff so that we take some of the pressure off the care providers to be able to provide those levels of care and have other things that don't take as many skills to do are being done by other people. So there's a lot of support, and where staff have suggestions, we look at them and implement if at all possible.
And I know today, we saw some real great support from the community coming to you guys as well.
It was so good to have the staff and our residents seeing this today and being totally surprised. I think in many rooms there wasn't a dry eye.
But I do want to express our thanks as well to you, because I know you guys, you were working tirelessly to make sure that our senior population is taken care of. So we just want to say a big thank you from your TV and the community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, sorry we couldn't get too much time with you today. We'll check in with you again soon, and thanks for taking the time.
Okay.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Well, it seems generosity really blooms during a major pandemic, as the Table Soup Food Bank in Huntsville has been receiving quite a bit of it lately. Heather Cassie with the food bank tells Your TV the only struggle they're facing is what to do with the overwhelming support during a time when they can't have a lot of people in the building.
I would say that our biggest challenge right now is in the communication with all of our amazing volunteers that we've had who served with us prior to COVID. Different people have said, initially, what's going on? Are we able to keep doing this or that in one of the services at the table? And in communicating with them and ensuring that they will stay involved and engaged, because this will be over at some point, and we really want our volunteers to know that we need them again once this is over, and for a smaller group of people to actually be able to keep serving with us. And it's we love our volunteers and we want to stay connected because we are a big family here. There are so many people that that have connected with us and they want to help out, they want to volunteer, and they're just saying, like, how can we help? And honestly, right now we're having to turn some people away, saying, please just wait, we will need you again. Pray for us right now, drop off donations, let people know that we're here. But we have an amazing core team of volunteers at the food bank, and we all serve, once, twice, or 3 times during the week when the food bank's open. We're working together, and then there's a little bit more opportunity at our soup kitchen. We've had different people come in to prepare the meals out of our community kitchen, and it's 1 or 2 people that is making food for 50 to 60 people twice a week, and then serving it as guests come. And then we have food rescue volunteers as well. So a number of new volunteers did come forward, and they've been fantastic. And they're each taking a day or 2 during the week to go around to different restaurants and grocery stores and picking up food. And then of course it comes back here, and we quarantine the items for the set number of days before we give it out to our guests. People are actually pretty generous in this community, and I mean, even today we've had friends stop by with bags of groceries. I think that there's less groceries and items going into the bins at the grocery stores than usual. People are giving more online, but financial donations are always a struggle for the table. We're always in need of financial donations, and this is no different. And especially with us not knowing where we're headed, knowing that our financial needs will be greater this year, and we need that message to go out to our community so that they continue to have us in mind. All of our volunteers at the food bank and at our soup kitchen, we're giving out food out of our community kitchen twice a week. We're all wearing gloves, we're all washing our hands all the time. We're trying our best to physically distance. And then each donation that comes in, we are taking from the donor outside and setting it aside in a quarantine in our building, and then we look at how long it needs to sit before we're able to give it out to our guests. So much of what we are providing our guests in the boxes that they're picking up really hasn't been touched by more than one person who's packing the box for quite an extended time, and they're wearing gloves and being as clean as we can be. For the first 2 weeks, we were definitely busier. There were people that came that hadn't been here in a while, lots of new guests. And then the 3rd week, was the end of the month, and people started getting those checks from the government, and so people kind of held back a little bit. And then this last week, we're seeing people returning again. We always have new guests, and we're able to meet that need because of the generosity of our community and the volunteers that are here.
And coming up later in the show, you can find out more about how you can support the Table Soup Foundation and other organizations in Muskoka. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. So, one of the big questions around returning to normalcy is coming from the sports community. Will the NHL or NBA get to finish their seasons? Will they play in buildings without fans? Now, while there's no clear answers at this point, in an exclusive interview with Your TV's Toronto Maple Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe talked about how to get his team ready when or if the season resumes.
Well, I think the first thing is that we would have to recognize that they're going to need time. The hockey in particular is a very unique sport, and that it requires being on the ice. So the guys are training and doing their thing off the ice, and our strength and conditioning staff and medical staff has done a terrific job in implementing very specific programs for each player, depending on what they have available to them for both space and equipment at their homes where they're spending their time during this pandemic. And but the reality is they're going to have to get on the ice and get back conditioned, and skating is a whole different ball game in terms of the muscles and the strains that it puts on the body, and then you add in the contact is a whole other thing. So it's going to take time. But in the conversations that I've been privy to, and just reading in the different media reports and the communications that we have within our organization, is that they've been mindful of that. The players have been very upfront about the fact that they're going to need time, and the NHL has acknowledged that. So no matter what the plan is, and if the health officials deem that we're able to continue to play, the player safety will be first and foremost, and they'll have ample time to get back up and running, and us as a team will do that too. But we also have to do our part now while we can, and take advantage of every day that we have, despite the circumstances. The players have got to do their work to stay fresh and stay strong, and we as a staff have got to be organized. We've got to find greater clarity in what we're trying to do as coaches. We've got to communicate with the players on a regular basis and try to have some conversations that we would normally want to have in person or amongst our team, but we can't. But there's no reason why we can't grow as individuals and as a team during this time, despite the circumstances, and that ultimately is our message.
We're taking our last break, but when we come back, look at a major fundraiser gala that you can take part in without ever having to leave your home. Stay with us. Welcome back. A major fundraiser is set for this weekend that Your TV is proud to support.
Hi, join us for a one-of-a-kind stay-at-home gala on Saturday, May 2nd. The Muskoka Virtual Gala will join hundreds of Canadians from across the country and will host all of the familiar elements of a gala. Local and national music, game-changing speakers, and even the option to have a gourmet dinner delivered right to your door. The Muskoka Gala will be time to unite people from all across Muskoka to strengthen and support each of our community's efforts to help with our healthcare workers, our food security programs, and even vulnerable women during this difficult time. Social distancing at its finest. So, don your best and log on, let's party together. To register and to learn more, visit trellis.org. Stay at Home Gala Muskoka. Cheers.
Help us to help provide the equipment we need during these challenging and difficult times.
Hi there, it's Catherine Crane from Huntsville Hospital Foundation. Please help us as we help our frontline healthcare workers during the COVID-19 crisis. Everything you do will be so appreciated. Thank you, and be safe.
Please help us to assist vulnerable women and children during this difficult time of COVID-19.
On behalf of all food banks in Muskoka, we want to say thank you to our amazing community and donors who keep thinking of us, who bring food, who donate online. We're so grateful for you all. Thanks for not forgetting us.
That's Cogeco News. For more information on the program, head over to yourtv.tv or check us out on social media, Your TV Muskoka. And remember to watch us live at 5 Monday to Thursday from everyone here at Cogeco News. Thanks for watching. Stay home, stay safe.